This is the Cecil Higgins Museum and Art Gallery in Bedford. It's crammed full of valuable antiques, paintings and clocks. And perhaps there's something else here that's rather valuable too. A spirit of someone who once lived here and still loves this place very much. And there's also a more sinister spirit lurking upstairs. So let's talk to some of the staff who work here to hear about their experiences, and we'll send our psychic round to see what she can discover.
One afternoon, my colleague and I were in the general office, and we had our backs to the window, and it was before the days of computers, so we had an electric typewriter. And outside there was someone doing some measuring up of the lawn and various things for excavations. And all of a sudden the typewriter started to type on its own. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have any paper in there at the time. We wish we had, because we felt someone must be trying to pass a message over. Later that afternoon, we'd come out of the office, and when we returned, the window had been smashed, and it was in the shape of a C. It was a very unusual break. There was no sign of a brick or a ball or a stone or anything that had come through the window.
Firstly, most people who start here, I've been here 6 months, everyone's always ill when they start here. This generally goes on for the first 6 months. Secondly, the problem I've had is a lot of the files for records or objects, they disappear and then reappear at a slightly later date, even though you've checked through all your filing cabinets. You can literally shut the cabinet, open it up, and you find something sitting there you've been looking for. And occasionally in the offices you can hear giggling from a young woman, which I have actually heard myself just on one occasion.
But there also seems to be a sinister female spirit lurking about, as one member of staff discovered.
I was working upstairs and I went into the guest bedroom. I followed some visitors in, as we always do, and the visitors left the room and I was left in the room alone, and it became extremely cold. It hadn't been cold previously, although it was a January day, but it hadn't been cold previously. And the room became distinctly hostile. I felt uncomfortable in the room. I felt nervous in the room, which I hadn't done before. The room is not a particularly eerie room. It doesn't look eerie, it's just an ordinary room. But I did feel threatened at that point in there, for whatever reason. I don't know. I just felt uncomfortable.
One of the maids jumped out of the guest bedroom upstairs to her death in the 1880s, 1890s, possibly because of her jilted by a lover. This is the story. The other one is a small child that appears there on occasions to people in the nursery next door, which we think might be one of the children from the Cecil Higgins family, although we're not sure.
The photograph of Cecil Higgins, which had hung in the curator's office, was on the floor, and the glass wasn't smashed, and the string wasn't broken, and the nail was still in the wall. And we don't know how it came down.
It certainly has a feeling, this place. I mean, if you're working here in the evening, it can feel a bit creepy. Certainly in the bedrooms upstairs, there can be a feeling of sort of tension up there, really. If you're up in the bedrooms by yourself, there's a sort of slightly spooky kind of feel to it.
So it would seem that there are two spirits making their presence known. But who do the staff think is making the most impact?
I think it's something to do with Cecil Higgins, personally, although other people feel that it's a young girl, maybe a maid, that's having a bit of fun.
I really don't know. I have no idea what it was.
If it is Cecil, I think he loved this place so much, that's why he set up a museum here. And he doesn't want it to change. He feels the people that work here are dedicated to it, and it's very nice the way it is, and he's an old-fashioned gentleman. And I just think any threat of change, and he lets us know his presence.
Well, it's a nice idea. I mean, it could be Cecil, but I mean, the idea that we have it is more likely to be the maids or the servants, because it would have been a busy household with a number of servants changing over on quite a regular basis. Not Cecil, probably the maids of the house.
It would appear that the staff have mixed views on which spirit is causing all this activity. So we called on resident psychic Gloria Conroy to see what she picked up.
Upstairs, there's an overriding feeling of a very male presence. Now, this man loved the house so much, he's actually part of the building. He's actually within the building. There are certain rooms where he's more dominant than others, but he's a very playful person, because I get the feeling he'd rattle things and knock things and touch people and perhaps blow on them, just perhaps a touch on the curtains or a person as they walk past. But he really adores this building. I had a lot of difficulty with this because it seemed to be male and female, but I've got a very, very strong woman, a working woman, and she's rather menacing. The man I kept getting S, but being dyslexic, that could be anything, but I got an S. I got S for the name. He's a very smartly dressed man. He's very, very smartly dressed. And I really feel that people have actually seen him, really seen him in spirit.
Well, clearly our psychic Gloria believes that there is a very strong presence here, and it's a male presence. Perhaps it is Cecil keeping an eye on what's going on. It's interesting too that the staff note that most of the appearances seem to happen when there are changes going on, and as we know from the Wi-Fi's, this is a very common occurrence. And as to the woman upstairs, well, Gloria wasn't too keen on that presence. Could that have been the maid who committed suicide, or another spirit? Either way, it seems an awful lot is going on in this building, but the majority of it seems to be of a pretty friendly nature.